Hey everybody, it's me, the Einstein of Wall Street, here from the balcony of the New York Stock Exchange. I'm having an extraordinary day. You know, for me, the most exciting thing is when I meet people who are like changing the world. They're on that mission. They're not like posting pictures, on the back of a Bugatti, flashing cash on social media and Instagram. It's not that exciting. People who are actually going out there and breaking barriers, blowing up the ceiling and changing, whose goal and motivation is to change people's lives in a positive way. At the end of the day, you know what? All the cash and prizes aren't that exciting, but if you can impact somebody in a positive way and kind of understand this crazy world we're living in, because it's fucking crazy, then that's the goal for me. So anyway, last night I met this extraordinary young lady. Her name is Marinela, and I'm going to bring her to you today to Trade Like Einstein. Hi.
Hey.
Welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure.
I would love to have a Bugatti, but I don't have one.
Yeah, no, I would love to have a Bugatti too, but if I have it, I'm not going to show the whole world about it. I don't need to.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the reasons, so I had the absolute, I met her through Gemma, who is here at theCUBE, and she's extraordinary as well. And so when I meet people who are, I'm a people person, I'm a humanist, and if you can tell a human story, that's the really exciting part. And then I went on social media and saw her talking about AI, okay? Apparently AI is a big part of her life, trying to really scrape what's going on in our world and how this has changed our lives, how human beings, the socialization of one person to another person, like we used to do in the old days, is no longer a thing, right? You can hide behind this. You can stand in a party, right, and just sort of hang out with your phone like you're with another person and not engage another human being at all. Behind this, I can be anybody. You don't even know who I actually am. And so what I think it's creating, and I think she's going to shed some light on it, is look, there are a lot of benefits to it. I'm talking about the social media. I'm talking about all the technology. I'm talking about AI particularly because we're, as Dan Ives says, we're in the second inning of a 9-inning game in the AI world, right? We haven't even begun to see.
No.
And when you're talking about a thing that learns off itself, can you imagine it's going to be exponential? That like we think we know a lot of what it's going to be, but we have no idea. It's going to be like if you've ever seen the movies, oh God, what was that movie? It was with
Which one? Tell me that a little bit
it was
about
Adam Sandler, and he goes to a Bed Bath and Click,
Yeah.
and he goes to get a remote control in the middle of the night at Bed Bath and Beyond, and he ends up getting a remote control that has a life of its own, and it starts. You know the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like that. That's everybody's feel.
Yeah, and I always like to say that this is the worst that AI is ever going to be.
Yeah, that is. Well, but can you imagine if you had a remote, right, that you could turn the TV on or off or make it louder, but how about if your dog was barking and you use that same remote to make your dog, you don't get to hear your dog bark anymore, or if your partner is doing something that upsets you, you can actually lower the volume on it. It's kind of a crazy idea. But look, we're in the middle of this crazy journey with technology, with AI, right, with social media, that is, we're detached from that human experience at all. I mean, let's go back to the friggin' cavemen, right? The way we eat, the way we sleep. Right now, everybody doesn't. People think about this. People go to a concert, somebody they love. They spend thousands of dollars to see their favorite musician in the world, and all they do, as opposed to sitting there and listening and enjoy the music, is standing there with their stupid thing, right? We see people come in here with their tablets, as opposed to experiencing the experience. I mean, because at the same time as life is becoming very experiential, it's very detached.
It's very detached.
So talk to me about all that I just laid on you.
Oh my, you laid so much.
I laid so much on you.
Well, first of all, I would love to start from the last point that you made, right? So I think we're at a point where people have, it has become more important to share it than experience it.
Yes.
So that's I think what's driving people, right? Before you used to go to a concert because you wanted to experience your favorite artist. Now you're going to a concert
someone else,
so other people can know that you
were there.
You were there. So sharing is more important than experiencing it. And then you mentioned artificial intelligence. I mean, where do we even start? So I mean, just think about it. ChatGPT was launched November 2023. It is.
Wow, is it that recent? Oh my God, I didn't realize that.
I don't even remember life before ChatGPT anymore. Like, what would I used to do before? What was the world before, right? It's just been 2 years.
Okay.
So,
and just for the record, I've never used it. Never used it.
I wanna interview you for my research.
Because
you are probably the only person
I could be
still
the only
existing
person.
in the world.
I don't even know how to do it. Somebody tried to tell me to do it, and I ended up in some vortex.
I'm gonna get him on ChatGPT after this.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, it changed so much everything. So AI is not a new thing, okay?
Right. No,
AI is not a new thing.
Machine
it's been around
learning,
for decades. Machine learning. That's where I used to. My job started as a data scientist. So all my work was about gathering data and using machine learning techniques to discover trends, make predictions, and classify something, detect something. So that has always been my job. Now
in industry or in
it was cross industry.
Okay.
So I did both for businesses, especially financial services, banking, healthcare,
which
a lot
is
of
exciting.
those.
I mean, think about it.
Very
I was reminded the other day that when I was a kid, I had a best friend whose mother was a market researcher.
Yeah.
And back in the old days, before cell phones and whatnot, I'm not that old, but it was before all this other stuff. She used to do these, what do you call them? Something sessions where.
Focus groups?
Focus groups,
yeah.
Thank you, Lord have mercy. Focus groups, where we would invite people on a Saturday to try a new cereal, to try a new food. It was a food. She was a food market research person, so she would invite all these kids around, and we would try cereals and see what kids liked. Whether you liked chocolate berry, or you like frosted flakes, or you like things with too much sugar, or chocolate flake, whatever it was. But it was done in a very manual fashion. A bunch of kids showed up. They were given a sample. You wrote down. I was given a questionnaire. Did I like the chocolate? Did I like the sugar? Whatever it was. That was it in the simplest way. That was market research in the simplest form.
Yeah.
Now, that was before all of these added value, added edge that we can do today. But so that's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But like companies, think about it. There was Coca-Cola, and then there was the new Coke, right? So I mean, think of it. So if I didn't do this, I think I would be in advertising. For me, that's the most exciting thing.
You already are.
I guess I am. I guess I am. I love logos. Yeah. I love to see what people's trends are and people's desires are. And I've done it in lots of different businesses. I was in the food business for a while.
Okay.
Right. I made a hot sauce. Hot sauces were hot, and I was there at the cutting edge, and it was explosive, and we did great. And unfortunately, I got sued and that shut me down. But whatever.
That's for another day.
That's another story. But but trends are now more important than ever.
Yeah.
I just picked up on something.
Yeah, no, that's really important. And what has changed right now is that before AI was limited to a few people, right? Just experts, experts that had studied data science, that had studied statistics, computer science, machine learning, probability, right? Now it has become accessible to anyone. Anyone literally. So that's what ChatGPT really revolutionized, the accessibility, right? For the first time that we're entering a new era of human and technology interaction, where it has become so easy to ask something, whether it's through text or through voice, and AI immediately generates something for you, whether it's text, code, video, or images, or whatever you need.
But let me interrupt you for a second, because in the beginning it was sort of innocuous. Like in the old days when you wanted to go on a trip, right, you would call your travel agent, or if you wanted to get in a car, you would take out a paper map and you would figure out your way there. So then we had Google Maps. So you could do that. Technology was wonderful. It really made our lives so much easier, right? If how do I get to that restaurant, or in the middle of a storm I have to get there, or there are certain things where technology added wonderful things to our lives. It was a big deal. And exactly. And then AI came along, and then it was all that technology a little bit on steroids. But when you're actually able to ask a machine for medical advice,
that's where it gets tricky,
or financial advice, or any of those things. Now, look, I talk about it in terms of finance. People always ask me, like, do you ever think AI is going to take over the financial advising industry? And look, some people may think so. Some people, there are obviously a bunch of apps that now can use a robot to figure out what stocks to buy. At the end of the day, I want a human being in between me and a number of things. Whether I'm on a plane, in a car, I'm not an autonomous car guy. I don't want to be going 70 miles an hour down the road with no driver. Right, but some people may be.
But I know people that use autonomous cars
every what you're addressing, we talked about it a little before, is that what's scaring you is that starting at a super young age, people are asking questions, right? But things that are really significant, like things that are look, in the old days. Look, our lives have changed so much. In the old days, your grandfather used to put change in a big jar, right, on his bureau, and if you wanted to go borrow some money, you'd go take it. Right now, they have Roundup. You can just see, we don't use change. In fact, they just got rid of the penny, right? And so then, if you needed directions or you needed advice, you would ask somebody, right, or whatever. And now you're asking a machine for all that stuff that can significantly impact your life.
Yes. So you mentioned before, people are scared that AI is going to
outsource them.
Now, now, right now, in this historical moment, of human life, we're not there. I absolutely don't think that we're at a point where AI has the capacity to replace a human, because the generation that is living today was raised that it needed the human interaction. So the human interaction was a habit for them, and now the AI came.
So you're saying
it's
somebody who's
new.
looking for a job now has lived through both?
Has lived through both. What I'm fascinated about is the kids, the Gen Z, Gen Alpha even more, right? Born after 2010, they're entering the job market next year. They're 15 years old this year. They're born with technology, even more their kids. So today we are starting to choose to trust technology and artificial intelligence on decisions for us, right?
Over another human.
Over another human. Right. But you still have a lot of humans, thankfully so, like myself, like you, or like many others, who are like, no, wait, I can trust this for some things, but I still have the critical thinking in my own brain to say I need a human for other things, right? But the new generations, who tells us that we're not going to get to a point where we're going to revolutionize and change what trust is? The definition that we have in the vocabulary today for trust is based on the trust between a human and a human. We don't have research today that talks how trust is developed, is nurtured, and it grows between a human and artificial intelligence and a machine. And so you don't know if in 20 or 30 years or 50 years you're going to have a human being that actually, it's totally normal for them to have advice from a machine on financial services. And so they don't even think about going to another human. It's not a habit for them anymore. And so that is what's really fascinating, scaring at the same time, because are we going to get at a point where trust, what future will trust have, first of all? And are we going to ever get to a point where we're going to have a human being looking back in their lives and be like, I had a life. Did I choose it? How many of those decisions I made versus somebody else?
You're bringing tears to my eyes. That is so heavy.
It's
right.
So heavy.
If you think about it, I mean, you don't even want to think about it, because it's. I mean, what you just sort of made me start thinking about. So like the thought came and just went so fast. You know, when you ask somebody, I think I may have lost the friggin' thought. It was so exciting. But you know, just that whole thing, asking somebody for advice, right, and how it impacts my actual life. Okay,
how many decisions you make out of your actual life, and how many other people or a machine has made for you, but you still think that you made it because you chose to trust the machine. So I made the decision, right? So it's like almost like.
Oh, you know what I was going to do? Sorry to interrupt you. Okay, so think now about how when that AI can actually, they have robots now that can call me and make believe so there's a scam going on right now. That they can use my daughter's voice to call me and say, I've been in a car accident, I need you to wire me money. And all case being, it sounds like my daughter. It looks like my daughter. It could be my daughter, but it could not be.
Correct.
Right. And so what I wanted to say was that, you know, with all the growth and the advancements of AI and technology and whatnot, there's always going to be the bad side of this thing.
Correct.
Right. And so there are going to be people who are scamming the system. Right. And you're seeing that I mean, that the AI has done that.
That's true for everything.
It's always going to be the case in our lives. There was someone very famous
that now his name just doesn't come to me, but he said, when you invent a ship, you invent the shipwreck.
I love that. Yeah, so absolutely. But that's so scary to think. When you just talked, I thought of it when you started talking about trust.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna be a generation where they don't have any of this as a frame of reference any longer.
Yeah, we have
a few
benchmark
generations
today.
back. We have a benchmark.
They won't have it anymore. For them, it's going to be normal to just be come in a world that works like that, where you ask to a machine first and then to a human for everything. Yeah. And so for them, it's just going to be normal to already be born with that trust with the machine, because that's how the world works for them, right? And so, I mean, for us, it's scary. Like, and it's crazy. For me, it's like crazy to think about it, how I can live like and just give my whole life decisioning system to a machine, which, let's say, I mean, it sounds like it knows us so well. But it's just behind it, there are companies that feed those machines, that own those machines.
You know that if you and I start talking about a vacation in the Caribbean, okay, in 5 minutes I'm going to get right. It would be, and I'm available. If you that in a few minutes I'm going to start getting ads on my phone. For a trip to the Caribbean. Okay, so that's just somebody's listening. There was always that fear. In the old days, there was a big brother was watching. You know that whole concept?
Yes.
Right.
But think about ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT doesn't have advertising yet.
Right.
Yet.
Oh my goodness. We didn't even think about that. Right.
Because right now, I mean, Google owns the advertising world, right? So if ChatGPT takes advertising out of Google, like what happens with Google? So I don't think that I think ChatGPT hasn't put advertising yet in their system, not because they cannot or they don't want to. I think they're just figuring out with Google how to split the money.
Explain to me. So as I told you, I am a novice at all of this, and I've never used a ChatGPT. Yeah. Is there one ChatGPT, or are there multiple different?
So actually, ChatGPT, I should fairly say, it's one of the many. So it's a product. ChatGPT is an interface that's developed by a company known OpenAI, which I'm sure you know very well, working here. Right. Yeah. So what's behind it? It's something called large language model.
Right.
Right. So a model,
large language, LLM,
right. So what is a large language model? Imagine taking all the knowledge in the world from the internet, from the libraries, from the books, from newspapers, from phones, from everything, whether it's a text, images, videos, code, voice, everything that you have available. And you put that into one model.
A little box.
A little brain.
Right. A little brain.
Right. That brain is then able to, based on a human prompt, so you ask it a question, whether it's written or whether it's through voice, and it generates something for you, okay? So now why it's called large? It's called large because it's trained on trillions of data. And it's called language because for the first time in human history, we now have a artificial intelligence model that is able to understand and process something that only human were able to do, our language. Now, the whole debate happens how much these things can actually understand us and how much they can actually reason. And so the market right now is split between people who think that they can reason and the people who think that are typically the people who sell large language models like OpenAI and other companies. And then you have other people who are like mostly researchers and experts in natural language processing, language processing, who say they cannot reason.
That's the question. My question is how much of it is just understanding facts? Response and then reason. Those are two different. That's a human emotion. That's reason. No.
That's where we're getting exactly where I'm going with my research and my thesis, because so right now the way they reason is not the same way we reason. Okay. Because the large language models, they are trained on context. So you can say, I can give you a phrase and I want you to fill it out for me. The last words. We're going to the bank to
take money.
Okay. Now, if I give you some context, it was summer, it was beautiful, the weather was so hot, I invite my daughter to go to the banks. Because she wanted to get some fish. So we went to the bank to catch fish.
Oh, okay.
So it was actually fishing at banks.
Oh, wow, really?
Not taking money.
Oh, okay, wow.
So context changes everything.
Everything,
right?
Of course it does, yeah.
And that's what large language models are very good at understanding. They understand the context, and then they generate the most probable next word based on the context. They don't understand nothing. They don't reason. They're not able to reason. So they're really good at predicting the next best word based on the context of something, and they're so good at it. They're better than us.
But there's no feeling.
No.
But what happens if you ask it about feeling?
There is no reasoning. No, there's no feeling.
You mentioned that people are using it for therapy.
There are using
so there's
it for
got to be
therapy
like I'm depressed.
Because
what is the response from ChatGPT?
Oh, I'm so sorry that you feel depressed. I know you have been going through a lot lately because yesterday you told me that
you had a fight with your girlfriend,
and I'm sure that impacts you. So let me help you get through this. Do you want me to recommend you 5 ways in which you can get through this by based on your personality and based on what your needs are? And then you say yes, and they say okay. So do you want to start by doing something physically, or do you want to start by doing something just sitting on your computer and using a computer? Do you want to write? Do you prefer? So it just starts getting a loop where
does it learn from me? So do I always go back to the same ChatGPT?
Or you go back to the same interface. There are many. ChatGPT is one of them. There is Gemini from Google. Then there is Anthropic.
But if you're going to learn who I am, you want to go back to the same one that knows more information about me. If that's what your point is.
So humans are using right now different LLMs for different tasks. And there is a preference that is starting to...
Gemini may be good for what?
For coding or application development. ChatGPT may be good for human interaction, for more personal things. So we're starting to see where these large language models, they started as competitors, but they're actually entering the market as being established for certain categories.
Okay.
So they're shaping human preferences. And so we're seeing a trend where you have a same human using multiple tools for different tasks.
Gotcha.
So they're not actually competitors, they're all making money from different human needs.
So just by nature, they've sort of risen up in different categories that people go to that for that and that for that, just based on people talking to each other. Like, where'd you go to find out which restaurant to go to? So I use Gemini. So everyone, right, or something like that?
Yeah, so the restaurant question, today you use Google Maps, right? Or for example. Yeah. So here's the thing about large language models. Large language models do not replace applications.
Okay.
They interact with applications.
Okay.
Okay. So
you don't go to ChatGPT to find a restaurant.
You can ask ChatGPT, hey, which restaurant do you recommend? ChatGPT is gonna access the application. Right. It's gonna access Google Maps, and it's gonna give you something. Right, okay. You can access, Morningstar, it can give you something. Right. You can access a financial services app, it can give you something. Right. So the large language models, we call them that they are able to access tools. They use tools. Right. To generate something and make a decision for you. And that's why they sound so credible, because they access the internet and they give you the source. Like, hey, Peter, based on people preferences for New York City,
so it sounds like a really like
it looks like a very, very, very credible. But if you ask ChatGPT or any other language model the same question twice, is never going to give you the same reply.
It isn't. Wow.
No. Because it's probabilistic.
And
it just functions of probability.
You know more about this. So when it goes out into the universe, right? And we just talked about that when you get on that information highway, there are things that can jump ahead of us.
Yep.
Like, so you ask it a question, it's going to go out and ping different little things along the way. So the reason it wouldn't answer the same thing twice is because it may get picked up by a different ping along. It may pick up of a different word or a different...
Correct.
Right?
Yes, and it works on probability. So it's never going to be like, hey, I already replied to you to this.
Right.
And another aspect and trait of large language models is they're always validating. They're never going to tell you you're wrong.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They're always going to make you feel
that's dangerous
right.
as well.
That's exactly right.
So especially if someone is asking them for
right.
advice that may impact their lives.
Now
that's how we started this conversation. So let's go back to it though, because you started, when I heard you talking, we were talking about, AI is one thing, ChatGPT is another.
It's a form of AI.
It's a form of AI. So AI, look, I have so many young people who come to me who are college bound, who are into finance, is AI going to outsource me? Is it her? And I go, look, I don't think so. The research I've done it's not going to be.
We're not there
but
at all.
It is obviously it's the flavor of the moment. It's the fruit du moment, right?
The fruit du moment.
Right? It is what's happening. So if you need to, go out and train yourself in things that are within that sector.
Yes.
Learn how to code.
Yes.
Learn how to do this. Learn how to do that, and then there'll be a place for you. Cybersecurity. It's a big thing, right?
Yep.
All that's within that mode. You started talking about women and men using it more than the other. Let's dip into that a little bit.
So that's, that
was in respect to ChatGPT, not into AI.
Generative AI.
Right.
Generative AI. So
AI.
ChatGPT is a form of AI that it's called generative AI because guess why? It generates.
Right. Gotcha.
Right. Other forms of machines, they're not able to generate. These types of AI, they generate an output, like a response, just like called generative AI. But it's still a form of AI.
Okay.
Now, what the researchers are showing that men are outpacing women in the usage of these technologies, right? So, and that's true across every age range.
Right.
And especially if you drill down the Gen Z, the gap becomes even wider, which means that Gen Alpha wasn't even included when the research was out. So Gen Z is like you have men using it like 72% and women just like not even 50%.
Wow, okay.
And the reason why, because they explored why, and this was very surprising, but then you think about it, maybe it's not that surprising, especially me thinking myself as a woman, is women don't use it, not because they don't think it's helpful or is because they are not confident about it. So
about it or about themselves?
About themselves, about themselves being able to know how to use it. So, and this goes back to psychology, right? traditionally speaking, in general, and this goes back to how we're raised, and it opens up so many conversations. We can sit here all day talking about it, but like typically, men, when they have something new in front of them, they just jump into it. They don't care
do a deep
if they
dive,
don't know
deep dive.
how to use it. They're like, I'll learn across the way. If I'll fail, it's fine. Who's going to judge me? Women, on the other hand, if they don't feel perfect about something and they don't feel they're expert, they don't ever get into it until they feel they're experts. And so that's what's stopping them, and that is really bad. And it's coming from a woman in tech because artificial intelligence, liking it or not, it's going to shape who has the power to lead in the next decade.
And so while women
have to be there.
Right, exactly. And while women have gone, well, look, we talk about it a lot in finance. While women have held a backdoor view of in finance, in jobs, in pay, and all that stuff. Right, and now we're trying to break those ceilings like crazy. You cannot now suddenly make 2 steps forward and 3 steps back.
Exactly.
That is not what you want. And if this is the next phase of our lives, and what you're saying is true, then you are now about the impediments for women to get over those things.
You're about to be left out.
You're about to be left out.
To the most revolutionary technology innovation of the past decade. And I'm here at the New York Stock Exchange, and I'm having chills saying this, but. I deeply feel as a woman about this because as women, we already lost the financial wave.
Yes, you did.
We did.
You did,
We did. Like, we like it or not. Like,
I'm doing everything in my power to change that.
And I appreciate you so much having me here today, right?
Well, you know what? It's an honor to. And look, my one of my biggest missions is to empower and motivate women to be in finance, to tell their story. Look, I've brought women on, like I would think we've done, most interviews we've done the last month. One was a woman who was talking about reconstructive surgery for women with cancer. One was a woman who's dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia. One was Sveta, right, was talking about a woman in analytics of data, right? So, and then there are women, and then one was Alison Kosek, who just wrote a book. She was a financial journalist who, her whole life was finance. She was in a marriage, right, with 2 children, and the marriage dissolved, and she was suddenly sitting there going, wait a minute, I don't know anything about the workings of my finance. I don't know where my money is and how to do that. Her husband always took care of all that, even though as a job, all she did was talking about finance. So she wrote a book for women about women's experience in that situation. Right? And to, look, some people poo-poo it, screw you. You know, at the end of the day, women have been held back in so many different things. The barriers to entry in so many industries, as far as salary equivalency, all that kind of stuff. All of it, right? And so to think, that's a mission in its own right.
We cannot lose the AI wave. We cannot. And what pisses me off even more is that what's holding us back is ourselves. That every time I talk to women, I'm like, they're like, oh, but I don't use it. I don't know how it works. Like, it's nerdy. I don't know. I'm like, shut up. Get into it. Start using it. You don't like it? You'll probably call me. I'll help you. Get help with somebody else. Like, you have to start somewhere. We have to start breaking this habit of we can learn or we can do something only if we're really good at it.
Someone else will do it for us.
Yes, and we're like, oh yeah, let me ask help. Like, I'll call my husband. I call my son. No, you know how to. Like, my mom was the same for. Like, I experienced it with my mom. She's like, I'll call your brother. No, you need to learn how to do it by yourself because you will need this one day for you as a woman to give an example to me, and then I'll pass it to my daughter and kids. So
but you know what? Look, this is so generational. Look, you go back to women weren't the ones who were driving. They were the homemakers, right? They were. I mean, they've been put in their place and kept in their place for generations and generations. Finance being one of the worst ones. I mean, we here on the floor of the stock exchange. They were never in the room where it happened. We never had women brokers until one point in the 90s. It's a long story. I'll tell it to you off camera of why suddenly how women got down here. We had women for a couple of years, and then the minute there was an exit strategy, there were no longer women here. Women now run hedge funds. Women now are huge in business. Women are in finance and journalism all over the place. It's happening, but still, it is such an upward battle.
It looks like a weird thing. When you see it, it still doesn't feel normal. It still feels like an exception. Oh wow, she's a woman. She's making money. She has $1 million company.
But the same person, same man or a woman in the same job is making a different amount of money.
And that's true
problematic.
And I'll tell you, that's true for every country. Don't think this is just a U.S. problem. I worked in Italy for a long time.
I'm sure it's even harder in other countries. Are we better? The U.S. versus other countries?
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, compared to Italy, yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, Italy is sort of more traditional as far as the role of the
Italy,
woman.
we're more, and obviously, I don't want to speak for.
What about
every
Eastern
job.
Europe? You have a relationship to Eastern Europe.
Yes, I was born in there. And I go there a lot for both business and personal reasons. Those are countries that they have a whole different history because they come from a whole different historical moment. They're at a different historical moment. They're developing and investing now. They're just starting now, but they're starting to invest with social media part of it.
Okay.
And so women are raising their voices like, without anyone having to tell them to do that.
Are women more on Instagram than men, or what's that? Have you researched that?
Like, now that they're opening, like, I don't know, financial institutions there, or they're opening startups or something like that, women are like, oh, but I saw this woman in America that is doing it, so I'm going to do it too here in Albania. And so that's
a good thing.
Yes, that globalization of, like, they're being influenced. Women are being influenced because they're seeing other women in other countries, which that wasn't true years ago when the financial.
You didn't see it, you didn't know about it.
Now women are more involved. I see a lot of women being very involved in Eastern countries, especially I'm talking about my generation, right? Like millennials and below, being more involved in it. And it's become more and more normal for women to be part of businesses. So kudos to Eastern countries and the work that they're doing for it.
Well, you know, it's funny too, because if you think about it, this woman who I wanted you to meet, Sveta, was talking about, you know, look, if you think about Eastern Europe, right? All the hard work was being done by women, right? Farming was being done by women, right? They were the ones keeping the family together. They were the ones cooking the food.
I'm a daughter of a woman like that.
Okay, look, and you know, I knew it from my parents. So my parents are Eastern European. They were Holocaust survivors. They came here, and I, as you know, as a powerful guy as my father was, he went on to become a super well-known doctor and whatnot. And I knew almost too much their experience through the war and in camps. They lost 90% of their family were killed and killed in front of them and all that. Wow. To see my mother, who was, you know, was a beautiful lady who wore nice mink coats, and she had come to America and experienced her American dream and all that. The inner resilience and strength as a woman who have gone through that experience, right? You saw sometimes how much more powerful a woman can be, right? Like blow men out of the water. We always talk about it relative to having a baby.
Yes.
Like, you know any man who's going to really go through all that? Probably not.
And this is exactly also what's helping in Eastern European countries. Like, you don't have just women that want the raising voices. You have men who have seen their mothers suffer that are helping women, and they're bringing women with them, right? Because you have that, they're empathetic towards women. So I think that makes a lot of difference.
So you know what, we could talk about, we could go on, this conversation. So we're going to this is going to be an ongoing series. Right, Marinela and the Einstein of Wall Street. We're going to be doing it weekly. Anyway, look, what started out as an AI story, as a my God.
We started out as an AI and how it's impacted decisions.
Correct. And who's impacted more and who's more involved? No, ChatGPT, that's what I was missing. And you know what? And because it's so much a part of our lives. You know what? This is all happening, couldn't be more timely, because today, look, one of the best of breed and the best of the AI companies, obviously with a $5 trillion valuation, everyone needs to know that NVIDIA, which is what we're talking about, which when February 2024 was trading at $108, 2025 was trading, what year are we in now? 2020, so we're in 25. Okay, sorry. So in 2023, I'm trying to get it right, in 2025, this year, right, January. So in 2024, it's trading at 108, February.
Yeah.
In February 2025, it was trading at 924. In June of 25, it was trading at 1,200. It split 10 for 1 and is now trading at 200, 180 post-split. Earnings are coming out today. All eyes are in it. Now, see of how our lives have changed. In the old days, people used to have parties when the Oscars were on or when the basketball team or the World Series. Today, there are thousands of NVIDIA earnings parties all over this country. People are sitting together on a couch with a bunch of drinks and hors d'oeuvres waiting for the NVIDIA earnings to come out, because everyone's involved. Everyone's got skin in the game.
What was the first question I asked you this morning when we met?
When are the earnings coming out? So that is crazy. No matter where you're from, whether you're a man or a woman or however you identify yourselves, have some knowledge of what AI is and what NVIDIA is. So $5 trillion is their valuation. besides the United States, that is more value of than any, that is more than the GDP of any country in the world. Okay, how wild is that? So this is a revolution, right? The AI thing and probably the ChatGPT thing is a revolution. As Dan Ives says, we're in the second inning of a 9-inning game going into extra innings when it comes to this. The cap expenditure is in the trillions. Their data centers, they've committed, the largest companies, Oracle, Microsoft, Google, Meta, have all committed $600 billion each to data centers to be built over the next 5 years to basically create enough GPUs to be able to continue in this AI world. So, look, there's so many, we can talk forever. It is such a pleasure meeting you, and I'm excited. I'm so excited. We have so much. We're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. Look, I'm speechless. That never happened. So, you know what? I'm just going to leave it at that. This is like one of the most fun interviews I've ever done. Marinela is extraordinary. This is a subject that's going to take everybody by a storm. This is going to be on everyone's mouth for the longest time. So we're going to pick this up another time. That's all I got to say about it. Trade like Einstein, Money News Network. I'm out of here.